Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another Full Scale Friday. And for those of you just kind of joining the channel, Full Scale Friday is still a general reading, much like every day of the week. The difference is this is what a private reading would look like. So if you would like a private reading, it's very simple. You go to the link tree down below. You hit my Amazon wish list. I've got a couple more wish lists I'm working on right now that I'll be adding if Amazon's not your thing. You throw me something off the Amazon wish list, anything $35 and under, you get 2 readings and a birthday reading. If you send me one of those role-playing game books, if it's over $35, we'll talk. Anything like $40 to say $50, I give you 4 readings and a birthday reading. So you'll get 5 readings in total. And guess what? Those readings can be redeemed at any time, and I'll work with you because I do have a job, so I got to keep that in mind. So for this weekend, we've got Viking Oracle and the runes, naturally, Spirit Animal Oracle as well. We also have Rider-Waite and the White Light Oracle. I really don't use the White Light Oracle that much. I love the artwork on the cards. It's just I don't know. It rarely, if ever, like really calls out to me. And here he goes. Stop that. You are not getting fed early. Get me? Capiche? Stop that. God. He is in rare form this morning, let me tell you. Okay. Sorry for the interruption there. Anyway, I hope your week has gone well. Hope it's gone a little bit better than mine. Came down sick on Monday, but everybody knew that. Especially if you were following my social media, which also link tree down below. And the thing is, I've been trying to keep these videos just a little shorter. However, as the week goes on, these readings get a little bigger, and sometimes that's just not possible. Here he goes, guilt tripping. It's not happening. Alright. We've kind of had to have him on a diet. And he's lost several pounds since getting on that diet. So for the benefit of you just joining us, for those of you who've recently come to the channel, I've noticed we've crossed 130 subscribers. Honestly, when I started this channel, I think I repurposed the channel, and I think we were at something like maybe 30 subscribers. I never thought it would get this big. This is pretty big for me. Definitely not I'm not quitting my job over it, but I can't thank all of you enough for coming over and subscribing and sharing. And if this reading doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. It won't resonate with everybody. And he's got a case of the zoomies, and he's going to attack his little plastic ball. And here we go. Little Chaos Lord, that is Mr. Bub. Okay, anyway, I want to thank all of you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, that sort of thing. And if you see where any of this message takes a little bit of resonance in your life, feel free to share. It's fine. And thank you so much for being here as always. I can't do it without you. And I've said it before, I don't need a million. I just need one. You watching this right now, that's it. I've done it for like 4 views. I've done it for 1 view. I've done it for 0, and you can check my Odyssey for that one. let's get down and see what this weekend's going to look like. That's why this reading's so big, is because it covers the entire weekend. Starting with you, the one who came to this channel today. We've been talking about leadership, haven't we? We're talking about delegating responsibilities. We've been talking about taking care of yourself, taking care of those around you. So, Vegvisir comes up. Now, Vegvisir was known as the Viking compass. But I'm looking at this, and what I see with this card is going to be your moral and intellectual compass. Where does that sit right now? And that's something to examine. Because at one point this week, you were completely unguided. You were literally kind of left to your own devices. What did you do with it? How did you work into that? These are things to kind of examine, to really kind of get a sense of where you've been and where you'll be going. Because, as I'm fond of saying, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you are. If you don't know where you are, you will not know in any way where you're going. And that's, being directionless is definitely not something you want to be. But here's the thing, you're never truly lost unless you choose to be. Now, you've been given a purpose. You've got gifts and direction to fulfill that purpose. So even in the most dire of times, you're loved and protected, but you can find your way, even if it seems hidden to you. And that's why I say you really ought to go back and look at that one day where you didn't really have a guide. Nothing was decided for you. What did you do? How did you do it? Because your guide for this weekend, none other than the halls. And for those of you just joining us, I know I've explained this before, but in the lore, there are 2 halls. Actually, there are more than that, but we're mentioning 2 in particular. And Thor is standing in between the 2 of them. One is the Hall of Valhalla, or Valhall, the Hall of the Slain, which is Odin's Hall. However, there's one more. There's Sessrumnir in Folkvanger, which is run by Freya. Freya appeared in this week's readings, and Freya is given first pick of those slain in battle. So she gets to come in, she picks half of those slain in battle, and then Odin comes in, and he gets the last half. See, that's something many people don't know. But those halls are reserved for those who've made the ultimate sacrifices in life. They've sacrificed themselves, their sacred fortunes, however small or large, their lives, their honor, and their sacred fortunes. They put it all on the line. And in some cases, they lost it all. But you can't take it with you, can you? Alright. So what sacrifices did you make? How did they pan out? Something else to consider for this weekend. Because you will probably be called to make even more of them. I know I'm sacrificing my weekend. I'm sacrificing the Horde Wars game. And this has been 3 weeks running. I haven't been able to make it. Probably going to be a 4th one too. I haven't been able to make that game in a month. But, you know, hey, you gotta pay bills, right? Alright, so, what do we look to in nature? What can we take an example from? I think this one came up last week. The skunk, where you know your worth. Not many people want to be around a skunk. But I'll tell you this much. Everyone would love one protecting them. Knowing your worth, going out and getting it. And if you are in a situation where you're looking at things and you're like, you know what? I don't think I'm getting what I'm worth. And keep in mind, this requires you being very honest with yourself. There are a lot of people right now under the delusion that they're worth so much more than they really are. I can give you the Iron Man example. You had an actor playing James Rhodes in the first Iron Man, and he didn't appear for any of the other Iron Man movies. He got recast. Apparently, he thought he was worth a lot more than he actually was. However, with that being said, the star of Iron Man went on to appear in many other movies because this was a big opportunity for him. And he jumped on it, and he did what he could to make it, and now look at him. He's sitting on top of the world. There's the difference. Now, Terrence Howard has gone on to do other things, so he's not in any way a terrible actor. Got to give him props for making his way and possibly getting on to better opportunities that fit him a little better. Let's look at where you are mentally. So, first card that came up was the Devil, then the Sun, and then a Six of Swords. And this is what I'm talking about by knowing your worth. Because you're still stuck in a certain mindset. You're still stuck in sort of a holding pattern that isn't really conducive to building you or your growth. The good news is you don't have to be. Because the sun still shines. And again, when you're honest with yourself, you'll see a lot more that you didn't know. Or when you talk to others, when you get that feedback, this can dislodge you. And when you're dislodged, you tend to move on. Look, it's okay. It's okay to feel a little stuck right now, but right now, you're stuck in your own head. And that's never a good thing to be. When you're stuck in your own head and it's, oh, woe is me, or oh, that's just my luck, or whatever, you blame all those external things for where you are. And you may be right. You may absolutely be right, but you have to take ownership of what it is you think, say, and do. When you get those three lined up, you can be unstoppable, or you can slow your own roll pretty quickly. Physically speaking, right there in the material world, you've got a Ten of Cups. We got a Four of Cups in reverse, and then we have the Moon. So, you're starting from this place of abundance. You've got this, you've got family with you. You've got what matters. Now, there's the good news. This is what helps you get unstuck mentally. Because you go from having more than what you're really taking stock of, and that's really important. Take stock of what you have, not what you don't. And that's, I can see that being where you're stuck. You're always stuck on, what do I not have? What am I missing out on? And you're trying to just get it all in. Don't worry about that. Start with what you have, work your way from there. Because you know this is not a time to be apathetic. And you're not really being apathetic. You're not in that frame. But if you look at this, he's got 3 empty cups, and then there's this one being handed to him. He's not even taking notice, right? But this whole thing's in reverse. So you have a lot more opportunity than you think. The problem is the uncertainty that comes with it. And if you're uncertain, that's fine. It can be a very scary time. But this is where you need to trust your intuitive sense a little more. Really trust your gut, because it never leads you wrong. Spiritually speaking, because this weekend we will be conducting spiritual matters, and I'm just going to overturn all 3 cards. You really do need that spiritual refuge, that place of rest. That place where spiritually you know you're okay. Oops. The one thing you never want to hear a kinder say, oops. Because it does contribute to your forward movement. Your forward movement mentally and physically and spiritually is everything right now. These two cards together remind me of something that I had a gym coach in middle school who was a power lifter, and he was telling us about what happens with him and his powerlifting crew. And they had a day of what was called active rest. So they worked out a lot. They lifted a lot of weight. They threw around very heavy barbells. But they needed days to recuperate. Because when you're doing that kind of thing, you're tearing up a lot of muscle. On sort of a small scale, but then that has to rebuild, right? So after you've done all that, you do take a day where you're not doing all that, but you can't just sit around and do nothing. You have to get up, you have to move around, you have to go for walks, maybe do some push-ups, maybe just kind of move around, eating healthy and all that good stuff. That's what this is. Spiritually, it's an active rest. So you're not just completely laying out, you're actively involved in your spirituality, but it really does have to be kind of personal. This is not a time to completely, surge with the crowd. This is a time to really get personal with it. Because the Six of Cups comes around, and this is where, what I can see with this card, this is where your generosity, all of the best parts of you come out. And this is why we say yesterday, we're saying, really focus on what you love most. What kind of puts you into that elevated vibrational pattern. What kind of makes you go when you really just don't feel like going. Because that's what it is. That's what it's built up toward. Now, let's have a look at the White Light Oracle, and I'm just going to overturn all three. So in the mental, we have Beta of Spirit Wolf. We have Epsilon Modulation. And we have Anapausis. It's really interesting that we have Anapausis in the spiritual section here. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. As a matter of fact, I really rarely use this deck, so I want to make sure that... And here we go. It seems that this particular set of cards is really kind of dealing with rest, because you got to ground yourself enough to calculate or cultivate your focus and motivation to fulfill your path. Now, tricky situations, that's what is coming up right here. It's a tricky situation, but if you give yourself enough rest, enough active rest, you will find your way through those tricky situations. The wolf is cunning. There's a reason that they have those eyes. And believe me, those eyes are both terrifying and beautiful all at once. But unless a wolf is hungry, or unless its den is threatened, it's really not going to come after you. It's just going to go about its business. As long as you don't threaten it, it won't threaten you. And as long as you don't show up at the worst possible time when it's hungry, it's probably not going to come after you. But here's the thing. It's also pointing at that moon card because this is a time of change and uncertainty. But from those times of change and uncertainty come confidence, love, and resilience. So embrace that transition. Really commit to your task. Stay focused, but be flexible in your approach, okay? because you still have the skill to intuitively handle any situation. But that wolf, it enhances instinct, intuition, and presence, so you can sense and avoid possible sabotage or traps. That's what that devil card is, it's a trap. So, we're moving on to the epsilon modulation. They're talking a lot about sound frequency right now. And I recommend going onto YouTube, check out 963 hertz. I think it's 963. I think it's that number. Or the God frequency. Really check that out. Really sit down. Carve yourself out about 30 minutes or so. And just listen to it. If you don't have time to carve out, do it while you sleep. Sleep meditation, it does work. So, with this one, you have to gather up your energy. Go within and regenerate. So let your actions and match your inner rhythms rather than trying to force yourself to keep pace with external cues. That's what we were saying, right? Being honest with yourself, really kind of taking stock, not being apathetic, right? Because if you commit to your own natural timing and pace, you'll ground and connect to your center. You'll realize your spiritual power to be at cause in any situation of concern. Once again, let me just repeat that, okay? You'll realize your spiritual power to be at cause in any situation of concern, because you really do have that goodness in you. You do have that light in you. So let go of blaming and shaming. Just embrace that spiritual beauty within. I'm telling you right now, we're in Libra season. We're in Libra season, or will be in it very soon. I think we're in Virgo season right now. So we'll be in Libra season very soon. I can tell you one thing, as a Libra myself, Libras appreciate beauty in just about every form. You show us something beautiful, we will lock onto it like a kinder finding a shiny thing. If you don't know what a kinder is, you've got to read Dragonlance, okay? Don't really have time to go into that explanation, but Anapausis. Anapausis is the final card in this particular spread, and this is one about finding that moment to just pause, put everything off. I had to do that. I was kind of forced to do that this week, well, earlier this week. But I've also done it a couple more times. I was just like, you know what? I want every project to just go away. I don't want to think about you. I don't want to do you. I don't want to take part in you. Even though it's something that really brings me joy, right now it's feeling like a workload. And when that happens, you do have to go, okay, right now I just need you to stay over there. I will come back to you when I'm ready. Make a little time for play. Make time for the family. I'm telling you right now, you're going to be a lot happier. You've already been on the battlefield long enough. It's time to step back a little bit. Finally, your runes. We have Fehu. So there's that wealth, that abundance. You have Algiz. There's that protection. And of course, Ansus. Here we go with Ansus again. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ansus popped up yesterday. But right there, right in the mind, getting this clear in your mind, that abundance, that wealth, again, taking stock right here, pointing at what you have physically. Stop focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you have. You do have more than you believe you do. In fact, you'll probably find you have everything you need and more. And that's never a bad thing, because that also contributes to that Six of Cups here. You can let go of worry and doubt. Let that awakening come to you, because you are protected. You're going to be just fine. And you're protected a little more than you think, too. Also, be very clear about what you say. Again, the things that you think, say, and do, they're very powerful. They will manifest your reality. But right now, you have to know your worth. And if it's not where you really want it to be, the whole summary to this spread is you will find a way to make it be where you want it to be. You will build yourself to that point. So that's very important, and that's going to be your focus for this weekend. Thank you all so much for joining me. I love you all. I want you to take care of yourselves and each other. Join me on High Notes because I will be drawing a White Light Oracle card. And if you can't join me on High Notes, I'll probably be throwing it on Twitter too. But anyway, thank you also for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. And it's a free way to help the channel. And even though they're just small clicks, they mean a lot to me. More than you know. And I appreciate every single one of you. Just remember, always do what lights you up. And as always, have a great weekend and shine on.